The sun was just beginning to dip below the horizon as we pulled into the driveway of our newly purchased home in a quiet suburban neighborhood. It was everything we had hoped for: green lawns, wide streets, and friendly faces, or so we thought. I was unloading boxes from the back of our truck when we heard the first ahem. Turning around, we saw her, mid-50s, visor hat, clipboard in hand, and a facial expression that screamed self-importance. "I'm Karen. I'm the HOA president," she announced, not even offering a welcome to the neighborhood. My wife, Tara, raised an eyebrow but gave her a polite nod. "Nice to meet you." We weren't aware there was an active HOA here. "There is, and you'll need to sign these documents," she replied sharply, thrusting a packet of papers toward us. "There's a $150 initiation fee, monthly dues, and, of course, guidelines to follow." I looked at the paperwork, then back at her. We didn't see anything about an HOA in the sale agreement. Karen's lips pursed. "That's because the board is self-regulating, not technically registered, but still very active. You're expected to participate." Tara stepped forward, calm but firm. "We won't be joining a voluntary HOA, especially one that isn't formally documented." Karen scoffed. "That's not optional. If you refuse, I'll have no choice but to escalate this." Without waiting for a response, she spun around and marched off, muttering something about entitled newcomers. We shrugged it off and went back to unpacking. We figured she was all bark and no bite. But the next morning, 2 police cars pulled up to our house. Karen was standing beside them, arms folded smugly as she watched the officers approach our front door. "She really did it," I muttered. The officer knocked. "Sir, we've received a complaint of civil disturbance and possible unauthorized occupancy." My jaw dropped. "Unauthorized what?" "We bought this house," Karen piped up from the sidewalk. "They're refusing to comply with our neighborhood regulations. I'm concerned they're squatters." The officers looked uncertain. "Can we see your ID and ownership documents?" We handed them over calmly, but Karen's expression was victorious. She thought she had us cornered. That is, until Tara pulled out her wallet, and with it, her federal ID. Her badge gleamed under the morning sun. Karen's smug smile faltered the moment Tara unfolded her badge wallet. The shiny Federal Protective Service emblem caught the sunlight just right, lighting up the driveway like a scene from a cop show. The officers blinked. One of them leaned in slightly. "You're federal?" Tara gave a calm nod. "Yes, I work with Homeland Security. Here's my federal ID, and here's our closing statement from the mortgage lender." She handed over both documents, professional and composed. I could see Karen's posture start to stiffen behind them, her hands clutching that clipboard like it could protect her. The officers examined everything carefully. "Well," the younger cop muttered, "this all checks out." "Ma'am, I'm not sure why you thought this was a squatter situation." Karen tried to recover. "Well, I didn't know who they were. And when they refused to join the HOA, I assumed they weren't legitimate residents. I was just doing my duty." My wife looked directly at her, her voice measured. "First of all, you have no legal standing without a registered HOA. Second, filing a false police report is a criminal offense." Karen opened her mouth, but no words came out. It was as if the badge had frozen her logic in place. The confidence she wore earlier had melted into confusion and panic. One of the officers turned to her. "Ma'am, do you realize how serious it is to misuse emergency services like this?" Karen stammered, I didn't mean any harm. We're going to let them go about their day," the officer continued. "We suggest you do the same, and please don't make any more unfounded reports." She nodded slowly, the color drained from her face. I watched as she turned and power walked away, nearly tripping over her own flip-flops. The officers gave us an apologetic nod before driving off. Tara turned to me, her smirk barely contained. "Well, I didn't think I'd have to flash my badge in week 1. I laughed. "Welcome to the neighborhood, agent." But we both knew Karen wasn't done. The kind of person who calls the cops over a voluntary HOA doesn't just disappear quietly. We had a feeling she'd be back, and next time she might try a different angle. Still, we weren't about to back down. This was our home, and Karen had just learned that we weren't the type of neighbors to mess with. After the incident with the cops, Karen vanished for a couple of days. No knocking, no flyers, no sudden rule check-ins, just eerie silence from the house with the stone lion statues. We thought maybe, just maybe, the federal badge had done the trick. We were wrong. The first sign of retaliation came subtly. Our trash bins, which we had neatly placed at the curb, were mysteriously knocked over during the night. Garbage was scattered across our lawn like some kind of petty protest. Then a note was taped to our front door, typed, unsigned, and smelling faintly of cinnamon gum. New neighbors should respect the existing culture of this community. Actions have consequences. I showed it to Tara. Culture of the community? Is that code for dictatorship? She shook her head. This woman doesn't know when to quit. The next day, we received an email from the city. A complaint had been filed alleging we had unpermitted construction in our backyard. The city inspector showed up 2 days later. I led him through the gate and showed him our lawn chairs, one grill, and a potted plant. He scratched his head. This is it? Yep, that's the entire project. He chuckled. Looks like someone's trying to stir trouble. You're all clear. We both knew who filed the complaint. There was no mistaking Karen's brand of bureaucratic harassment. She didn't need legal standing. She just needed to make life annoying. Then came the neighborhood email thread. Someone, again, clearly Karen, started a discussion titled, Concerned about Neighborhood Integrity. She never mentioned us by name, but the descriptions were obvious. Some new homeowners seem to think they're above the rules. It's unfortunate when a peaceful, organized street is disrupted by outsiders who don't believe in cooperation. Tara raised an eyebrow. She really said outsiders? What is this, a 1950s Western? I replied in the thread calmly and professionally. I attached our home's deed. A statement from the title company clarifying the absence of any HOA and a respectful reminder that federal employees also value neighborhood harmony. The thread went silent for hours, until one neighbor finally responded, Honestly, Karen, let them live. They've been nothing but polite. Then another. I didn't even know we had an HOA. This sounds a little extreme. It was the crack in Karen's facade we'd been waiting for. Her grip was slipping, and our quiet supporters were beginning to speak up. But Karen wasn't finished yet. That much was clear. Her pride had been bruised. And bruised pride is a dangerous thing, especially when it comes with a clipboard. A week passed with no further drama. No mysterious notes. No phantom complaints. We started to believe the neighborhood was finally settling down. Even a few neighbors came by to introduce themselves, bringing over pie, garden tips, and stories about how Karen had been a bit much over the years. It felt like the tide had turned. But Karen, she wasn't finished yet. On a sunny Saturday morning, we noticed a crowd gathering at the small community park near the entrance of the subdivision. Folding chairs, a speaker on a stand, even snacks. A bright red sign fluttered in the breeze. Emergency HOA meeting, community standards in crisis. Tara and I exchanged a look. Do we dare? I asked. She smirked. Oh, we absolutely do. We walked down together, hand in hand, drawing a few polite nods and cautious smiles. Karen was already at the front, holding a wireless mic like she was auditioning for reality TV. Her tone was charged with authority. And if we let this behavior continue, the very fabric of our neighborhood will unravel, she declared. Someone near the back whispered, Is she talking about them? Karen spotted us and straightened her shoulders. Ah, the newcomers. Glad you could make it. Perhaps you'd like to explain why community harmony seems beneath you. Tara stepped forward. Calm, cool, badge tucked away but confidence on full display. Actually, I'd like to clarify something for everyone here. She reached into her folder and pulled out printed documents. There is no legally binding HOA here. Not in our contracts, not on the city's list of registered associations. Karen has been operating something unofficial and, frankly, unlawfully, under the guise of authority she doesn't possess. Murmurs spread through the group. And as a federal officer, Tara continued, I can assure you false reports to police, harassment, and public misrepresentation can have serious consequences. Karen tried to interrupt. And Tara cut in smoothly, your actions could easily be interpreted as discriminatory. Given the language you've used, outsiders, protect the culture, and your attempts to single us out since day one. Silence. Karen's jaw opened, but she couldn't speak. One by one, neighbors began to drift away. A few patted us on the shoulder. One woman said, "We've had enough of her for years. Thank you for standing up." Karen stood there alone at the mic. The cord had been unplugged. Later that evening, a moving truck pulled into Karen's driveway. She was leaving, not with drama, not with protest. Just quiet defeat. Tara watched from the porch, sipping her tea. "Looks like the clipboard's going into retirement." I chuckled. HOA Karen, meet federal karma. We hadn't just kept our home, we'd reclaimed the neighborhood's peace.